Hi, welcome to another E.J. Davis video review. This one for Dan Abnett's Ghostmaker, book number 2 in the founding cycle. But actually, some of the first things that Dan's ever written. What we have in the book are the ghosts setting up for a campaign in the Monthax system, not the Monthax system, actually on Monthax itself, where not only are the ghosts having to battle with the terrain and with the environment, but they're now also having to start battling their own perceptions. What we get is a connected series of short stories, and the connection is Gaunt is walking through the ghosts' camp as they're setting up for an offensive, and as he encounters each individual on the way through, he remembers certain stories, certain campaigns, certain missions that these individuals undergo. It's disjointed, I'll grant you, because of the nature of the fact it's short stories, but the single narrative that plots its way through ties it together quite nicely. And the final story in the collection is actually the major offensive, where some things are uncovered which might colour your perceptions a little bit over the ghosts and how the regiment itself goes, but then again might reveal just a little bit about how the regiment itself actually works. What's most interesting about this is that the first story, straight out the box, is the inception as to how the Tanith First and Only became the Tanith First and Only, but also Gaunt's perception of those tree-hugging ne'er-do-wells. That's pretty much wrong. Those farmers, not tree herders, those farmers, sawmill engineers, basically backwoods, out of the ordinary, non-fighting people. I mean, this is a founding of Tanith. This is Tanith providing its first regiment of troops into the Greater Crusade. That idea that Gaunt has of them throughout the campaign and throughout the book actually, to a certain extent, gets dispelled, and towards the end we see how it is that and why it is that Gaunt comes to love his regiment, and how he comes to defend them against all odds. Bits I liked: there's a tale called The Angel of Blucephalon, which features Helene Larkin, which for me, outstanding story, and also explains why Larkin's just a little bit nuts. You also get to see things of Corbeck and Bragg and Rawn and McCall, and their characters get developed in a little bit more detail, which, as we go through the saga, will become more relevant as time goes on. I mean, we're dealing with quite a disparate bunch of characters, and we're dealing with quite a unique relationship between them all. And it's interesting watching how it develops, but not only that, it's also interesting watching how Gaunt's inclusion as an outsider into the Tanith really becomes embedded. So it's quite nice. You can see that this clearly follows on from First and Only, yet also precedes it in some way, because Dan wrote this first, but didn't want this first released. That really is apparent from the narrative structure, and it really is apparent in the atmosphere as well. It is slightly disjointed, as I've already mentioned. The through line doesn't feel tacked on, but it is an additional thing developed to bring these short stories into a novel format and actually start to put it together in some form of origin or founding story. It's entertaining, it's good, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it possibly a little bit more than First and Only, but there are some negative points. Its disjointedness, the fact that we spend an awful long time effectively just walking through a camp and then get a final epilogue, if you like, which is a story in and of itself. That said, still worth the read, still a very good grounding for the Gaunt's Ghosts series as a whole, and without this background, where would you be with the characters later on? So, gonna give Ghostmaker 7 out of 10, and it will be available as an ebook download from Black Library. As a standalone, you can get it as part of the founding omnibus, which you can get from all good bookshops and from Black Library as a digital download.